Hello YouTube, welcome to my Phatmoto review. Now this is a 2019, so it's 3.5 years old. It's upgraded, but what I'm going to do today, I'm going to split this up into probably 2 or 3 videos so I can keep them short. What I'm going to do in the first video is just go over some of the upgrades if you get one of these newer bikes, Rover or all-terrain. They're basically the same bike. All-terrain just got fatter tires, it's a little larger frame, comes with racks, but it's basically the same bike. But the upgrades are just your standard upgrades you need to do to get your Phatmoto to where it's pretty reliable. And one of the main ones is your sprocket, rotor, bolts. Now it's a 2019. It came with V brakes, which I got rid of. That's why this rim is shiny, because I wore the paint off. But anyway, I made my own system here for a disc brake with a 220 millimeter rotor and a 44 tooth sprocket and adapted it. But by all means, make sure that the rotor bolts, you upgrade them and use thread locker on them. You've got to pull the rear wheel off to do it. Those bolts will come loose, shear, destroy your back hub. You'll be mad and pissed off. Okay, another thing you really should do on the 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 Phatmotos, it has a 255 millimeter rotor, and they mount the caliper right here. Would have been better to mount it up here, trust me, but here. And sometimes that interferes with when you need to move your wheel forward, it bottoms out on the caliper. Or if you need to move it back, you lose pad contact. But anyway, it's an upgrade over the V linear pull brakes. Now, this one, I took the caliper off the front, this mechanical. It's loose right now because I've got a line pull hydraulic coming. It should be here today that I'm going to put on there. But anyway, check those bolts, upgrade them, thread lock them. There's 6 bolts. It's a hub. Also, while your wheels apart, check your wheel bearings for grease. These cheap bikes from China, they tend to put a little fingernail dab of grease in there. It's not enough. And count them. Some have 8, you're supposed to have 9. So re-grease those bearings. Upgrade your sprocket, rotor bolts, and thread lock them. Check your spokes for tightness. Sometimes they're way loose. You'll have 4 or 5 loose. Make sure your spokes are tight. Okay. Clutches, when you get them brand new, there's a bushing in there. It needs to be oiled, not greased. Don't use grease on a centrifugal clutch. At least not one of these good ones. The new Phatmotos come with a Hilliard clutch. It's a great clutch, but it needs oil at the bushing. And there's videos and there's information to show you how to do it. I've got a couple videos on how to do it. That's something you need to do. You need to check your crank bolts. Make sure that this crank is on there all the way and that bolt is tight. Had a lot of guys had that bolt come loose. Then the crank falls off. It strips the the square taper on the bracket. It just make sure it's tight. Thread locker if you have to. Of course, the front brakes. This one's upgraded with a 203 millimeter over the stock 160, and it's full hydraulic Tektro. I did that. I don't know, first year I had this thing. And tires, a lot of guys replace the tires. Stock tires will get you by for a while. Rear tire will wear out. Mine wore out in about 800 miles. You can either do knobbies or get you some street treads. Hookworms are good. Whatever works for you. Seat. This is a custom seat. Bobber seat. I fabricated this mount. But here is your original Phatmoto seat. Kind of on the lean side. It's kind of cushy, but it's just not big enough comfortable. And those things will get you by. Now, there's a lot more upgrades to do on these things, which we'll get into in another video. But let's call this video done for now, and this will be part 1.